guys. Whoa. Happy Saturday. Finally got my channel back. Thank you, YouTube, so much. Thank you. Eric, my YouTube support. Thank you. I'm so freaking, I don't even have words. I think I'm going hoarse. It took forever, but it was worth it. Everything's back to normal. Thank the gods. So, how has everybody been? It's been really weird. So, all the videos are back up, so we're gonna go back into the regular, what we were doing before this all happened, and we are still on Modern Magic. So, give me 1 sec. I still can't believe I woke up this morning very early, 6 o'clock. I was thinking, wow, I wish, the YouTube channel would be back. Boom, it did. It came back right this morning. Very happy. Alright, so thank you guys, all of you, for reporting the hacker, or the hijacker that did that. It means so much to me. And then, on Twitter, you guys, I think on my public page I have a link, or on my Twitter I have a link to petition Twitter to let the Saska sisters back, because they were banned for no reason whatsoever, because they posted a promotional video or banner for Rabid, for a movie. Yeah, for a movie. So they're being censored. Not right. So make sure, yes, just support, share, support everything that they are doing, if you guys know who they are. So Rabid, American Mary, See No Evil 2, Dead Hooker in a Trunk, all of those good ones. So, alright. I almost forget how to do a video. Oh yeah, and then my hair got white. I woke up and it was like this. Alright, so this is lesson 6, page 233, and this is part 1. So, alright, back to this, shall we? So, in the last 3 lessons, we have been examining the archetypal magical elements. So, in this lesson, we will continue the pattern by studying the last of the 4 elements, fire. So, I remind you that there is a 5th element, which is spirit. The reason it is not discussed in the same way as the other elements is because it's the source of the 4 archetypal elements, which makes sense. So the way to come to know spirit is by a thorough knowledge and understanding of air, earth, fire, and water. So the element spirit is nothing less than the spirit, Rosh, energy, or Shakti of divinity. So that little bit of spark of, divinity that's within all of us, that would represent spirit. What do you guys think? Little Zelda Spellman. And thank you to Auntie Hilda for sharing my channel, for helping me, for just, you have been so good to me. I'm a complete stranger to you. Hopefully not so much anymore. I'm very open, so as you can see, Lucy Davis, not Auntie Hilda, but Auntie Hilda. So thank you for sharing that. Just to let everybody know. That was incredible. Alright, so, where'd I go? Alright, it is only through those manifestations of divinity of which the Godhead wishes us to become aware that we can come to know the ultimate deity. So the infinitude of the divine source of all is beyond the comprehension of our finite minds, save the ways in which the Godhead chooses to be revealed to us. So, if you see it in the whole Father, Son, Holy Spirit, great. if you see it as Mother Median and Crone Perfect. All godheads, triads, are one. So according to the Sefer Yetzirah, air emanated from spirit. So primitive water emanated from air, and fire. Where'd it go? Oh, somebody just really messed me up. I'm not very happy. So yeah, fire emanated from water. Earth comes from a division of the primitive water into water and earth, although some say it is a combination of the other three elements. If you are not satisfied with your familiarity, if you're not, with your familiarity, I still can't talk, with any of the three previous elements, continue to work on the exercise for those elements for another week or two. And then, as you will, be sure to begin these exercise for fire immediately. So I'm pretty sure, since it's been like 2-3 weeks, a month, without this channel, I'm pretty sure everybody's had a chance to, hopefully now, since everything's public, not private, you guys have had a chance to actually read up and all that good stuff. Alright, so the element of fire has the qualities of being warm and dry. And it's warm and humid here. It is so warm here, it feels like 110. So the following exercises will help you to become more aware of this magical element in your daily life. Alright, so exercise 1. I don't even want to think about fire right now because it's fire outside. So, observe those things around you, which have combined qualities of heat and dryness. Compare the heat and dryness of a fire to that of the sun. Interestingly, the burning core of the sun is frequently referred to as plasma, and is spoken of in terms resembling the way water would be described, such as the following. Steam has more fire than does ordinary water. Okay, so humidity. What about humidity? Would that have more fire than water? Because it's very humid, very humid. So ordinary water has more fire in it than it does ice. Thus, to a degree, fire and water can coexist. Yet they are considered to be total opposites and should be able to cancel each other out. So how can they exist together when they should destroy each other? So the answer is in the percentage of each. So much water destroys a little fire, and vice versa. But even a small amount of fire changes water, and a small amount of water also has some effect on fire. So try to observe fire in its various combinations with the other elements around you. Keep a record of this in your magical diary, and do this exercise daily for at least 1 week. So that's the fire exercise, just trying to, just familiarizing yourselves with fire, with the element. So we can take into consideration weather patterns, especially with the heat and the humidity, all that good stuff. So, alright, now exercise 2. Okay, find a place which is extremely hot, such as a desert or dry sauna, not a steam bath. So if those are not possible, find a place where a roaring fire is going, such as a fire. Such a fire could be in a fireplace or a barbecue pit or a grill. Remove all of your clothes, or as much of your clothes as it is reasonable. Okay, and get as close to the heat source as possible without risking a burn. You don't want to burn your bits and pieces. If you are on the desert, make sure that you have an extra heavy layer of sunscreen on any sensitive parts of the body which are exposed. This is especially true for the genitals, and if you are a woman, the breasts. So these areas become painful and hypersensitive when sunburned. This must be avoided. Yeah, I know, that does suck. I've never been sunburned there, but maybe I have. I don't know, I've tanned enough in my life. A very good possibility that I've had a sunburn in places. Yeah, actually, my butt was sunburned and it hurt. Wasn't cool. Alright, so yes, remove all your clothes. Don't get risk a burn, a literal burn. So, alright, so once you are in a situation where it is uncomfortably hot, but not painfully or unbearably so, just to where you're but not, going, into heat stroke or, harming yourself because it's too hot. And your perspiration is freely flowing. Do the relaxation ritual, and that is where we visualize the giant ball of orange energy coming up from the earth through our feet, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up to our heads, all the way up to the crown chakra. Alright, so this may be difficult due to the heat, but it will test you and to see how well you can do this ritual. Then focus on your breathing and feel the heat-laden air going in and out of your lungs. So as before, imagine your entire body is nothing more than an enormous breathing apparatus. It is. It's an enormous breathing apparatus, as long as we have pores. So imagine that every part of your body only has the function of breathing and nothing else. Know that your skin is a vital part of this system. As you physically breathe in air, imagine that every pore in your body's skin is also breathing in heat and dryness, elemental fire. Feel the fire course through your body, cleansing and purifying. Then as you exhale, feel it leave. Feel it leave through your pores, taking it with it the body's toxins, pains, and sufferings. Repeat the pore breathing until you have mastered it. That seems okay. So there is a caution. So, caution: only do this exercise next to a real fire or in a place like a desert once. Do not, under any circumstances, spend longer than 10 minutes doing this exercise in real heat. When doing this type of work, it is all too likely that you may lose your sense of time. Have an alarm set, to around after 10 minutes, or have a friend come and pull you out of the heat. Immediately drink 1 or 2 glasses of cool, not cold water. Get out or away from the heat. If you have physical problems dealing with heat, consult an MD before doing this ritual. So, this caution is for your health and safety. Neither the author nor the publisher or the reader will be responsible for your errors in this exercise. So yes, I personally have a problem with heat, so I can't do that. Well, to an extent, so. Alright, so remember, the purpose of this exercise is to pore breathe the magical element of fire. It is not to get you burned to a cinder. After you have done this exercise once, next to or in a real heat source, you may repeat it by imagining the heat. So do this at different times of the day and at different locations. Try it in the cool of the night and even in the rain, which would be nice. If you start to perspire, you are being successful. Practice this for up to a week initially, then as you will. So that's pretty good, pretty interesting. Heed the warnings they give. Alright, exercise 3. Spend a period of up to 3 minutes once a day imagining that you are the element fire. Feel the heat and your ability to transmit that heat. If you have a regular lover, ask him or her if your kisses are hotter. More on this later. Feel the dryness. And as a result, perhaps stop your perspiration if you are perspiring. Know what fire feels like. What fire is. Practice this exercise for 1 week. I love it. I think this is amazing still. Alright, now exercise 4. So now that you have learned to be fire, the next step is to learn how to consciously control this magical element. I have been working with this, and it's been really interesting. It's been great. I haven't been doing this, but I've been working with manipulating candle flames and pouring my energy into them and making them, charging them with the help of my jinn, both my jinns. So, where'd I go? Okay, so take a moment and again imagine yourself to be fire. Bring the feelings you had in the last exercise into your awareness. Next, hold your hands 9 to 12 inches apart with the palms facing each other. Visualize between your hands a bottle, cylinder, or a small cask. Next, as you exhale, imagine all of the fire element which is in you going out with your breath and being deposited into the container between your hands. 3 to 5 times should be enough to fill it. If it gets too hot to hold between your hands, move your hands further apart. Once it's been filled, simply absorb it for a short space of time. Then, with 3 breaths, inhale it back into yourself and return to your normal consciousness. So spend about a week with this exercise. Alright, now we have the test. This is the test. So here's the simple self-test, which will allow you to learn whether or not you have become not just in unison with the magical element fire, but also if you are its master. So, this test is to prove something to you, not to, me or anyone else. If you do not pass the test, that is okay. It merely means that you need to do more work on the above exercises, and then you can take the test again. In fact, take the test as often as you wish. So, just be sure to always record the results in your magical diary, or your journal, book of shadows, whatever you want to call it. So the next time you feel as if you are bursting with an overload of energy, so much that it is hard to concentrate due to the fiery energy within you, try this. Form the container of fire as described in the previous exercise. Once you have done this, visualize a large black hole in the air in front of you, and now you're going to throw the container of fire into the black hole, and then see the hole close so that nothing can return. So do this black holing 3 times. So your excess energy should be gone, but you should have enough energy left to do your necessary tasks. Interesting, I like. I feel blurry. Maybe? No. Never do this black holing with fire more than 3 times in a day. So, otherwise, you could become so drained that your physical body could be weakened, and this could open you up to disease. Wow. So it's really, really powerful with the mind and the body and the connection. So, the next time you are feeling listless and have total lack of energy, or for that matter, a lack of desire to do the necessary things in your life, form the fire container. But this time, inhale all of the contents of the container. Within a few minutes, you should feel energized and revitalized. So, try this instead of your morning cup of coffee. If you find that you have too much energy, black hole the excess, as already described. So when you have passed both parts of the test to your satisfaction, you will know that you are the master of the magical element of fire. So in fact, since this is the last of our 4 elements, once you pass this test and have passed the other 3 as well, you will be a master of the elements. So, to prove this to yourself, here are some suggestions to try. So, number 1, sit in a room which has no air circulating. Light a candle and place it in the center of the room. Become one with the fire of the candle. Now move the candle flame by your will, just as you might move your arm. For many people, this is surprisingly easy. It is. I love doing that. So, number 2, become one with the moisture, water of a cloud. Humidity. Now add fire to it so that it expands in all directions. The cloud should disappear. Wow. That's a lot. Right, now 3. On a windy day, find a high spot, such as a hill or a top of a tall building. Become one with air. I would suggest just staying on the ground for safety reasons. Become one with the air until you can almost feel yourself going aloft. Then start to bring some of the slowing power of Earth into you and expand it into your environment. The wind should slow or cease in your area. And don't try this for the first time during a hurricane. Try it with a light breeze. Later you might want to try a storm. This is pretty cool, actually kind of manipulating the weather in a way. So, okay, you can probably come up with many more experiments to test your mastery of the magical elements. So notice, however, that I am suggesting rather minor phenomena, not major changes in the environment. This is for 2 reasons. So first, the test needs only to prove to you that you are capable of controlling the elements. So all you have to do is prove something to yourself. Nobody else, ever. So, where'd I go? Okay, second, causing major changes in the environment is gray magic. So to affect a large area means that you are interfering with the lives of other people, as well as the plans of Mother Nature. So you may not, or you may want a dry day for your picnic and work to end a rain shower. So to the farmer awaiting rain, it could spell disaster and ruin the farmer's life. Yeah, it might also increase the prices for a grocer, and even result in some people having to go on welfare to pay for the increased prices of food. A magician must never take his or her actions lightly, especially when they influenced or might influence the lives of others. So that's something really to take into consideration. I don't do weather magic. I try. I don't like to, because I know if, we need rain here, then yeah, it could possibly destroy something else. Alright, so part 2. Now we come to the construction of the last of the elemental tools of the magician. It is perhaps the best known tool of the magician too. It is the wand. Even stage magicians use wands in their acts, and perhaps no other magical tool has caught the attention of the public more than the wand of the magician. I love wands. That's the first thing that ever caught my mind, or caught my eye, was the wand and then the athame, or the dagger. So it was pretty interesting. So, where to go? Alright, so, curiously, many stage magicians dislike the idea of real magic. In England, they do not even call it magic, but they call it conjuring. So, there are stage magicians, their stage magician is called a conjurer, but even they present a front of real magic. One of the most popular of magical words among stage magicians is hocus pocus. So this is simply a slightly garbled version of the magical part of the Catholic Mass, where the priest holds the sacrament and says in Latin, hoc est corpus. This is the body. That's very interesting. I had no clue about that one. So certainly the transformation of water into a body is real magic at its highest. So that's pretty interesting. Alright, the wand is as closely identified with one who practices magic as Dr. Watson is with Sherlock Holmes. Yet few people have ever seen a real ceremonial magician's fire wand. So the wand is the tool for controlling or directing two things. 1. The magical element of fire, and 2. The energy of the magician. So look at the outline below. Is the outline of the shape of a true magician's wand? Does the outline look familiar? It is quite simply an image of an excellent and erect phallus. Oh, it is. Okay, yeah, it's true. So the energy mentioned above is psychosexual energy, which you have been learning to manipulate with the exercises and the rituals in the first half of this course. So we all went through that. Anyone who denies the psychosexual aspect of magic is neither telling the truth, is uninformed, or is not really a magician. Alright, so, yes, here's the fire wand. So yeah, basically just a phallus, an erect phallus, is what it is. So, alright, those who practice magic under the traditions of paganism, many of whom call themselves witches, use the dagger as their primary weapon. So, the name used by many pagans for this dagger is taken from a Kabbalistic book, the Greater Key of Solomon. So ceremonial magicians, on the other hand, use a wand as their primary tool. It is not, however, the fire wand, but even an even superior wand, which will be described in a later lesson. That's the rainbow wand. So in the meantime, you will need to construct the fire wand. So make it out of a dowel. You can go to the craft store and get them really, really, really cheap. So make it any length and thickness you desire, but remember it must fit on your altar. Some lumber yards or hardware stores may find an end piece for furniture, known generally as a fennel, called an acorn. According to attaching this to the end of a wand will yield a perfect shape. Otherwise, you can carve a block of balsa wood and attach it to the end of the wand with glue and a dowel pin. If you have access to a lathe, I don't know, it can be carved out of a thicker dowel. If you use 2 pieces of wood joined with glue, use 2 or 3 extra undercoats, and then give it several coats of bright red paint. So the multiple coats of paint will help to hold pieces together. So let this paint dry very well. Alright, so we have the red part. Now we have paint a bright yellow stripe 1/2 to 1 inch wide around the circumference of the wand, at the base of the bottom of the acorn section of the wand. So divide the length of the wand between the 2 stripes into 3 equal sections and separate those sections with 2 more stripes. Thus, there should be a total of 4 yellow stripes and 3 sections of red paint, plus the top of the acorn. Alright, so this is the fire wand, and you guys can do a screenshot of that. You guys can see all the colors, I hope. So that's what the top should look like. Alright. So yes, that is made by Chick Sierroko. So the acorn section should be decorated with an elongated yellow yuds, the Hebrew letter shown below. There should be a total of 3 yuds. So this is an elongated yud. Just an elongated yud. Alright, so finally on the next page you will find a list of the Hebrew names and sigils, which should be painted on the red parts of the shaft of the wand with bright emerald green paint. This can be a really beautiful wand. So if there is not enough room, you can use the red sections of the acorn on the acorn. When finished, use several coats of a Verithin-like product to protect the finish. Art and Glow or Easy Cast. Some people insist that there should be a magnetized wire running like the length of the wand, and this is exceedingly difficult to do, as it requires the drilling of a very long hole, or actually splitting the wand and gluing it back together. If you wish to include the wire, you may try getting a hollow piece of cane and putting in the wire, or you could use a lightweight pipe. Oh, I never thought of that. A lightweight pipe, then fill the remaining space with a combination of glue and sawdust. Alright, the north end of the magnetized wire, it repels the north pole of the compass, should be at a plain end of the wand. So the wire should extend only about 1 1/16 of an inch. At the flat end, and through the acorn finial, or carved end, actually the wire is not necessary. It represents the tube of energy, which goes through the phallus. While it can help direct energy, the shape of the fire wand itself is more than adequate. So for more information on how to construct the wand, you can read Wang's The Secret Temple. So that's pretty interesting though. I mean, that's really quite interesting. I like that. I do like that. Alright, so okay, so we will go on to part 3. And so let's see what part 3 has for us. Still very strange to have my channel back. I'm so grateful. I am beyond grateful. Love these. And yeah, I might sell these, so. Alright, so here we go, part 3. So, we have spent much time dealing with the Sephirot, and very little discussing the paths on the Tree of Life. So, many books on the Kabbalah spent almost their entire length covering the Sephirot and ignoring or slighting the paths. So this is not surprising, because there is a very logical reason for the paths being so hard to pin down. So, now, the Sephirot, in a sense, are way stations for the energy of divinity. Rosh Elohim, as it descends toward the microcosm, which is our universe and our world. As this energy travels through the Tree of Life, it changes and it evolves, although its inner essence remains constant. So by the time it reaches Malkut, it is at a level where humanity can deal with it on a day-to-day basis. So quite interesting. Very interesting. Alright, now we have just as a current punctuated equilibrium theory of evolution proposes jumps in evolution rather than changes at a steady rate, so too does the energy traversing the Tree of Life change neither slowly nor evenly in its path form, from its ultimate pure form to the physical manifestations around us. It changes until it reaches the utmost point of a certain level or quality. Then it goes in a different direction. So in the diagram above, you can see how a form of vibrational energy color changes from white to black. It can definitely be said that the circle labeled white, it looks white, and in the circle labeled black, it appears black. But what about in between? Where is the pure gray? Where is the light gray? To complicate matters even more, two people seeing the same shade of gray might label it differently. So what do you guys see within those? It's different, very different. Very different. Alright, so this is exactly the problem faced when trying to understand and describe the paths of the tree, on the tree. The Sephirot in some Kabbalistic literatures are called vessels. These vessels hold the energy of divinity until it reaches a maximum in some direction. As an example, the Sephirah Geburah represents the ultimate manifestation of strength of the Godhead, as typified by the astrological qualities of the planet Mars. So page after page could be spent discussing the strength of divinity, but how does one describe the changing energy between strength and beauty, between Geburah and Tiferet? It is far more difficult. So it is for this reason that a good tarot reading can be done using only the major arcana of the tarot. So they are associated with the paths. And that is why I used only the major arcana for just so long. And now I'm incorporating more of the Lenormand tarot cards, and they are extremely scary accurate. So on the Tree of Life, and thus demonstrate the changing energies in a person's life. So the minor arcana are associated with the Sephirot and are thus more related to static situations. So the minor arcana adds more details. The major arcana gives more information as to the direction of a person's life and forces in play about that life. So that's very vital information. So the very fact that the paths represent changing energy patterns make them very difficult to describe. So later, through the proceeds known as path working, you will learn for yourself the changing qualities of the paths and how they apply to you. So for now, however, we will merely look at some of the important correspondences for the paths on the Tree of Life. So it's very, very interesting. So here we will find lists of Kabbalistic correspondences on page 245, 247, and 249. So, for the paths, there are 22 paths numbered from 11 to 32. The first 10 paths are actually the 10 Sephirot. So, this then points out a preliminary problem in dealing with the paths. Their numerations. As I have said, the paths are traditionally numbered 11 to 32. However, each path is also associated with a Hebrew letter. Since each Hebrew letter also has an associated number, there are so far 2 numbering schemes for the paths. Notice that the unusual numbering system for the Hebrew letters seems to be a mixture between Roman numerals and the Arabic numerals we commonly use. So yeah, it's really weird. Spelled out 347. We have Roman numerals CC, C, X, L, V, II, which is 300 plus 50 minus 10 plus 5 plus 2. Hebrew numerals Shin, Mem, Zin, 300 plus 40 plus 7. And then we have the Arabic numerals, which is 347. So perhaps then Hebrew or its source is a basis for the numbers we use today. That makes a lot of sense, actually. That actually makes a lot of sense. It's pretty interesting, too. Alright, so of course the ancient Hebrews did not have separate symbols for their numbers. Each letter also represented a number, so we will discuss more of this in a later lesson, but for now it is enough to see that the 11th path is also the first of the Aleph path. The 22nd path is also the 30th or Med path. The 30th path is the 200th or Resh path. So note also that the major arcana cards being associated with the paths also use their numbers to identify the paths. Thus, the 19th path is also the 8th or Strength card. Path. Strength path, not card. Alright, so the 30th path is also the 19th or Sun path. We can come up with some rather unusual looking equations. So, alright, so note, when five of the letters occur at the end of a word, they have a appearance, and a value. So, wow, yeah. It just gives you a very, if you guys have this book, it's on page 245, and it's the Kabbalistic Correspondences, the Paths, Part 1. So, you guys can find that if you have this book right here. Or if you can, screenshot it. I'm not sure. I don't know if it'll show up, but you can definitely screenshot that. So, alright, so, which if you know the secret makes perfect sense, otherwise they are undecipherable. So, yeah, it's pretty intense. It's pretty intense. Alright, so, he goes on to say, I mentioned this multiple numeration system here, not because it is vital to this course, although it will be making good use of it later, but because so many advanced books throw numbers around left and right, and a beginner could quite easily get lost. Remember, one of the goals of this course is to allow you to read any Kabbalistic work, and if it is logical and based on tradition, understand it. So the first column of correspondence is page 245, is the path number. This is followed by the number of the Hebrew letter, the Hebrew letter's name, and the way it appears. So this is followed by a translation of the meaning of each of the Hebrew letters. Where I have spelled out the name of the letter, I have done so in a way that you can see how it is pronounced. So as an example of this, ZY/IN, meaning sword, is frequently called Zain, or Zin. Zin. This leads to people pronouncing it as Zain, which is incorrect. The next column has the number and names of the major arcana cards of the tarot. So, in the first column on the first page of correspondences are the King Scale, KS, colors for the paths on the Tree of Life. As you should remember, there are 4 scales of colors associated with the 4 Kabbalistic worlds. They are identified with the names of the cards of the tarot: Princess, Prince, Queen, and King. So the Sephirot are, for our purposes, colored according to the Queen scale. The path follows the King scale colorings. This keeps the inherent sexual balance within the tree. It also points to the moving energy, the archetypal male of the path, and the contained energy, which is the archetype female of the Sephirot. So when a tree is colored according to this combined system, it is called the Minutum Mundum, or Little World. It will be an important focus of our work, our later work. So you should consider doing some in a very large size. When so done, it is referred to as the temple diagram. So, let's see. Alright, so although not vital to the purpose of the course, it would certainly benefit you to color in the trees of life in each of the color scales. So a complete list of these can be found in Regardi's The Golden Dawn, or Crowley's 777. So, alright, so the second page of correspondences, 247, for the paths begins again with listing of the path numbers. This is followed by astrological listings of the planets and the constellation signs, plus air, water, and fire. The 3 primary elements, according to the Sephirah, Yetzirah, The next column consists of various animals, both real and imaginary, associated with the planets. An anchorite was an early Christian hermit. The other animal names should be clear. Their importance to you will become obvious in a later lesson. So too will the next column of magical plants. Note that associated with the 29th path are unicellular organisms, which are not animals but plants. So the third page of paths correspondences, page 249, begins again with the path numbers. So the next two columns, which associate stones and scents or perfumes with the paths, should be clear. The final column lists the magical tools or weapons. So it's very interesting, very good information. So going from top to bottom, we find that the girdle is listed as a magical tool. This is not a device made to hold in a too large stomach. Rather, it is an ornament which surrounds the waist, and is associated with Venus. It can be used for blindfolding and for fascination rituals. The horns are frequently worn in pagan ceremonies to represent the power of the masculine aspect of deity. Thus, it shows outgoing archetypal masculine power. So the burin is a tool like an ice pick, and used to carve talismans from wax, as well as having other carving duties. So the preparations are exactly that. The time you put into the preparation for a magical ritual and the time you put into studying to become a practitioner of magical arts is in itself a magical technique. A tripod was traditionally used to support the incense burner. A furnace is here used in alchemical sense. So it means a place of work. So the disciplines are those of which you must go through to be able to do magic. The cross of equilibrium or solar cross is a symbol of your balancing of nature. The obligation is the vow you take when you are initiated or in your personal dedication. So the idea of pain being a magical tool may surprise you, but it is true. But it is true. I am not talking here about flagellation or other forms of bodily abuse, although some people involve this type of pain in their magical work. Not me. The pain here is more psychological in nature. So there will come a time when you will have to decide if the magical path is correct for you. If you choose the magical life, you will find that huge vistas of non-physical experience will be open to you, along with the love of divinity showering upon your head. But most people in this world, no matter their professional spiritual beliefs, are die-hard materialists at heart. They cannot keep up with you because they will either fear to do so or refuse to do so. As a result, you may find yourself drifting away from friends and loved ones. So this can be very painful. But those who follow spiritual magical paths must go their own way. Choose this path, and you may know pain and loss, but the rewards will far exceed the costs. Why else would so many people strive to become magicians? So at this point, spend a few moments studying the meaning of the hangman before continuing with this lesson. So, the secret force, which is commonly known as Kundalini or Rash or Chi, is a device used to sprinkle sanctified water. For deeper information on these magical tools, read Crowley's 777. So, at this time, it is not necessary to memorize these correspondences, but you should become familiar with them. In some instances, there are several associations in one category for each path. It would also be a good idea to make up several filled-in trees of life, including the correspondences with the 10 Sephiroth given in an earlier lesson. Pretty interesting how it's just traversing through, the tree of life and the paths and, the Sephiroths, and, we have the main, energy system going. It's in our bodies. It's us. I'm just dropping everything. Alright guys, so tomorrow we will go on to part 4. And again, this is Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig. And you can get this Amazon, Barnes & Noble, you can get it from, just Google it, and you'll find it. It's an amazing book. So, alright guys, glad to be back. Alright, so, I will see you guys definitely tomorrow for Sundays with Satan. I'm very excited again. Thank you, YouTube, for helping me get all this back. I'm very happy. So, I love you all, and I missed you guys. So, all my love, all the way from Venus, and my arms, all the way back down. So, I will see you guys tomorrow. I love you all very much. So, thank God, everything's back to normal. So, alright guys, I love you all, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.